Welcome to the Total Apex fourth and goal. I'm Andrew with our guest Sean and Jordan from Total Apex Fantasy Bets and Sports as well. But yeah, we're gonna recap the crazy wild card games, get into some divisional previews, and but first let's talk about kind of the recent coaching news. After the Patriots fired Gerard Mayo, it was kind of easy to see that they're going to bring in Mike Vrabel um,
Hmm.
back, and yeah, that basically happened. Um, so yeah, do you think this is a good move by the Patriots? And who what would be your prediction on their OC hiring? Jordan, you can go first.
I personally think it's the right. It's even though I'm not a big Mike Vrabel fan, it's the right hire because you put in a draw Mayo who wasn't even like legit, like just thrown in there, like and it as it was a complete disaster because he was overmatched. He was throwing
Hmm.
coordinators and players his own team under the bus, calling them soft. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like it was just a bad idea, and they're bringing Frable back and hoping like he at least learned some of his lessons back in Tennessee, like get a competent coordinator that won't run jet sweeps when your running back is Derrick Henry. That's basically the plan. Like just find someone that's competent, someone that can work with Drake May because the entire team's a
Hmm.
mess. Construction wise, like you're hoping Chris Barmore comes back from injury. You're hoping like the defense under regret. You're hoping the God that you get like at least a competent receiver. Which by the way, they could have, but they decide that, but Joe Milton decided to say, nah, we gotta get Tennessee that first overall pick. But yeah, I'm just hoping that we're just hoping
Yeah.
for better results. And like Vrabel is a solid coach. He is at least a culture builder.
Hmm.
But I don't have a lot of coaching.
Oh, for sure.
I don't have like we just pray it doesn't end in disaster. Like, but coach, I need something. I need a lot from you because you know coaching more than any of us.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I knew obviously he said I think he was a consultant for the Browns last year, so he still was in the game.
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
it's a good hire. It's you get you have to have a quarterback. The coach quarterback is crucial. We've seen
Hmm.
that. I've read, and I think this could happen. Is Josh McDaniels will be his OC? I don't know if that's true, but I could see him coming in there. I can't I can't verify, but I think that could happen. But I mean, he's a defensive guy.
Yeah.
Um, so is that my end making that, Andrew? Okay, am I good? Okay.
No, no, you're
Um,
good.
I think, and
Um,
then he's a defensive guy, so he'll keep himself. Um, he'll probably handle that side of the ball, and then he'll get a good OC in there, and they'll work with the quarterback. They'll get themselves a true one. They have a decent back. They've got two decent backs. You can find a good back late in the draft, anyways.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's a good hire.
Hmm.
I think it's good.
yeah, they just need to fix their
Yeah.
offensive line
Oh
and
God, that
get
offensive line was terrible.
Yeah, you got to have a left
defensive
tackle to
pieces.
start. You got to have a left tackle, a quarterback, an edge rusher. Those are
Hmm.
three huge pieces to construct a team.
Yeah, and they have the quarterback. It's
And the
just that
cornerback, a shutdown corner. They got the quarterback, and you
they
need a
got the
good
corner.
corner.
They,
Yep.
they, they got one of them, Gonzalez.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
just
So they've got some pieces there.
hmm It's just that they need an offensive line because Drake May might end up being killed
Yep.
next year.
But the time to make hay when the spending money is when the quarterback's still on the rookie contract.
Hmm.
So because once they get out of that contract, you're strapped because they command a boatload. So
Yeah.
this is the time to go after the ancillary
Hmm.
pieces.
100%.
Yeah, yeah, and then the next domino that fell. I mean, kind of yesterday and last night. There were. I guess I was surprised by this, but Mike McCarthy, after meeting with Jerry Jones, they decided to part ways, and then there's the big rumor that potentially Deion Sanders could join Jerry. And
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, that's a Johnson move.
mhm.
So I could see
that
that.
would be that would be good for both of them technically, because they're Jerry Jones is still in the media, Deion Sanders and family are still in the media.
Yeah.
That
And the
makes
son,
sense.
they'll try to get the son in there, and they'll probably trade Prescott.
Yeah, that would be a wild move if that happens. Jordan,
That'll be
what do
funny
you think
though.
about that?
But it makes
It'll be
sense.
funny.
Yeah.
It'll make sense in Jerry's mind,
hmm
but he won't do it because he loves his stars.
Yeah. I mean, they'll
But
save a lot of money in cap because then you can get a
no,
rookie
they'll
on the
have to do
cap.
with a debt cap.
Yeah. Yeah.
One-
Well, if
one
they
of-
trade him, I guess it depends. You're right, though,
Yeah.
because sometimes when they trade, that money kicks in depending on how
Yeah.
it's structured. But
100%.
he prints money over there anyway. So
Yeah. But my thing is like, why do you kept McCarthy being interviewed by the Bears?
you're right. You're absolutely right. It's almost like I don't know. I don't know. Almost like McCarthy basically said maybe he asked to get back. Maybe he asked for a ridiculous contract, knowing he'd get rid of him, so he could go to the Bears. Maybe.
Oh God! Please,
I don't know.
let that happen. Let that
Yeah.
happen. Let that disaster happen, because we can all laugh at the Bears. God.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Bears are
Deion
going to be
Sanders-
interesting.
Well, that's a big hire. I mean,
it'll be a funny hire. It'll be a big hire, but it'll be funny because we all know Mike McCarthy is washed. I'm sorry, he's washed.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see because there's another place with a good, got some good pieces in place there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Deion Sanders to Dallas is just. I still think he wants to build in Colorado because they have something there. It's just I feel like he's gonna stay there over going to Jerry's role.
That's a good.
Why
I don't
would-
know. I mean, well, you
Unless-
knew that was an obvious rumor, right, guys? I mean, once
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Unless he offers him a bank load of money, literally just bring
Mhm.
shots of money,
and he's got
Deion's
plenty of
out.
that. So
and Jerry's like, Deion, come home to me, Deion. I always love you.
yeah,
I don't think though. I think as long as he refuses to hire a good, I shouldn't say a good AGM, I just don't see. I just find that teams can't get out of its own way.
Jerry still thinks he's a good GM.
Yeah, he
Jerry's
thinks
like
he's a
this,
GM. Yeah.
I got my moves. Don't
Yeah.
worry. We all in. I'm going to sign the long snapper. I'm going to sign Edward Kendricks. And we're
Mhm.
all in.
yeah. I just think like the timing of it is like not great either. I just feel like Jerry is just like a week or two late of everything. Like, cause
He's
yeah,
a
like
year
all
or
these
two
other.
too late.
Oh yeah, that's true. Cause yeah, like they could have been with like the other teams who need a head coach interviewing all the candidates, but now they're a week or two behind. But yeah, let's get into the wild card recap. I know Jordan, you were mentioning the other day that you had something on the. There were some people saying, "Oh, with all these blowouts, they should change the seeding rules."
They should go they should game more SEC teams just to blow them out more because God, that wild card weekend. Oh my God, the one game like I was wrong on some game, but like I was wrong on Houston and lost in the Chargers
Oh yeah, a lot of
because
people were.
God, what the hell was that like? And I think I saw a stat. I think because they mostly shut down Jake Dobbins. I'm like, okay, Urban's gonna sling the ball. No, I was just surprised how terrible Chargers run game was. God, I didn't even see. I was at work during the game. I talked to a guy. I was like, Houston blew him out. I was like, wait, what? What?
That's the one game I got right in my parlay. I had the Texans. I write the weekly parlay. I had the Texans. I took the Steelers plus 10.5 because I thought they would play them tough, not win, but play them tough. And then I actually almost snuck out a backdoor cover, and I thought the Bills. I had the Bills game over, and I thought the Bills, and it started out great, 7-0 underdog, and then the Broncos couldn't They couldn't
Yeah.
score anymore, and the
Yeah.
Bills controlled so much of the first half via the run game. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
will
yeah.
shout out Brandon Ellis from Total Apex. He did make he did get 5 out of the 6 wildcard predictions right. So, but
that's awesome.
yeah, the Chargers the Chargers are flatline. But anyway,
They were just destroyed. Herbert was just throwing pick after pick after pick. Like Houston's defense was great, and that's what carried them to the win because their offense, that first half was just flat. Like
Yeah.
their offensive line was so making penalties. Like it was brutal to see. But like Chargers were just worse.
Yeah,
Like,
the only game that was good was the Commanders game. Really.
Yeah, that was another game I was wrong because like it was gonna be a close game. I thought the Bucs were gonna sneak out of it alive, but like Commies just came out in that last minute, along with that brutal fumble by Baker and I think it was either Irving or Tucker, but still like those two cost them the game. But the late Saturday game, Steelers Ravens, like I knew Baltimore was going to win that game before the ball was even snapped.
That game wasn't even as close as the score like we talked about before we came on. It was 21-0, but then they scored quickly. They got it to 21-7, and then they came right back down and scored right on them. I think Henry had a long run. I mean, that game wasn't even.
No. Here's the thing that led him to Henry score. Jet sweep. It was a sack. Andrew saw the game. A sack, slant, jet sweep, touchdown run.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It was on the Steelers defense. They
couldn't stop a high school offense. They ran a read option. Either quarterback kept it or gave it to the Henry, and they couldn't stop it. He hardly threw. I think he threw 21 passes.
You probably saw that play and you were like, my kid can do that.
I mean, load the box, put 8 in the box, and dare him to throw. I mean, that guy you want to be in the pocket. That you'd rather he be there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We will get right into that game, but first I want to shout out a Total Apex fan with Kat coming in, and also Brandon. But yeah, that the thing was, I think I mentioned this last week's show. I was saying how the only way that Houston was gonna beat the Chargers was like their defense. And I mean
and they played great.
Kind of
they played. They played perfect. Right. They played a perfect game.
Yeah, Brandon's absolutely right. I mean, they kind of no one expected that output.
Like I knew Houston's defense was good. But I thought their offense was going to cost them the game. But I was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's just get right into that Saturday game. We have the Chargers. Well, I guess the bigger question is obviously Herbert's offensive line and his receivers. Other than Ladd McConkey, they kind of disappointed him a bit. But I mean, Herbert also made some pretty just bad throws. Is this like a Herbert thing?
Yeah. I think he had 3 picks all year, correct? And he had 4 in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising. I just for him because he's been basically clean all year.
Yeah,
when I saw the highlights. It was ugly.
And he finished this because I actually liked him in DFS a little bit because of the cost and the price. He finished as quarterback 12, Herbert. Mm-hmm. So he finished as a QB1. He came very good down the stretch. Started off poorly, but he came in playing very well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then with the the Ravens carving up the Steelers, I guess the way it happened, I'm kind of surprised by, because I just thought like it could have been also close.
Yeah.
I mean the Steelers locker room, they had the flu going on, obviously
they got out coached and they got out schemed.
Out-schemed, out-coached, outplayed. they were just flat. Like
I mean, that was a high school offense they lost. And
Yep.
look, I know Lamar is having a fantastic year. Obviously, Henry. Sorry to interrupt you, Jordan. I know Henry is outstanding. So you knew Zay Flowers was out. So you had to, if you're going to guess, what would you rely on? Their best two players, and that's exactly what they did, and they still couldn't stop it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that defense has a lot of first-round draft picks on it. There's a lot of money on there. Watt was not healthy after he hurt his foot. I can't remember what game he hurt his foot in, but he was never healthy because he just wasn't the same. Yeah, and then just 13 straight runs, and they got killed. I mean, either he kept it himself or he handed it off. I mean, it's not hard. Your defensive end takes the quarterback, your linebacker takes the halfback, and that's how you defend that. And they got out of, and then against the 3-4, if you lose gap coverage, gap responsibility, you get gashed, and that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In terms of the Ravens, I also thought like that because I know Zach.
Philly.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon.
He was not the same. He threw up all zeros in that game. There's no way he was 100%. I mean, his rushes weren't, and they singled him a lot. They isolated. Did you guys see the play where both Steelers tackles pulled? Obviously, that's not correct. That tells you all you need to know about their offense.
Yep.
Both tackles pulled.
Yeah.
That's all. That says it in a nutshell.
Injury, I thought it would. I mentioned last week. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, if I'm being honest, because what they would do is you double the heavy tight end personnel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they would still run the ball. Like likely he's shown up like big time for them anyway. Mm-hmm. They mostly manufacture a lot of targets today, and I mean whether it's good or not, like it still it still could impact maybe against the Bills this coming week, but I still think that they're gonna just try to run the ball. Like they had a good year for sure, but I just don't think he's totally essential to the game plan.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, going to we have we're going to the Sunday game. The Eagles and Packers. That was kind of these two.
I'm
were
not
kind
shocked by this at all.
Obvious to me, I know. No. I mean, it is interesting, like for Denver at least, because that defense did not travel like at all.
Oh.
I guess maybe like if they like played up to their standard, then maybe it would have been a closer game.
100%, but like at that first drive, Denver's offense just did nothing. Like Bolton was just like it was that they shut down the run game. Like the Bills just dominated them. Like it was just brutal to see. It was just brutal to see, and like I didn't see it. Like I figured like that was gonna happen. Philly being the Packers, well, Jordan Love is basically Brett Favre 3.0. He's gonna make great throws. He's gonna make stupid throws. His interceptions were stupid, all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they lost.
And his elbow, I think that injury was pretty bad. I don't really think he didn't throw the ball very well. Obviously, that elbow was because he had numbness in there and his ulnar nerve. He had a problem with. They had that Dr. David Chow on Sirius XM NFL radio, and he was talking about it. Yes, I caught it, and he said that was the biggest injury of the wild card weekend. That wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't. He wasn't healthy because he had a problem with the ulnar nerve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Packers kind of were just coming in banged up, and then during the game, like all the receivers and their offensive line.
Yeah, they all died.
Dobbs
was down. Reed was down.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive line was down. Like they were basically getting the ambulance in there.
We're dropping like flies.
Mm-hmm. At least the
Yep.
flies
Right.
stood more of a chance.
Mm-hmm.
the flies. But yeah, I guess I mean we can just go right into last night's game before hitting on Sunday night because these two. Well, the Sunday night was the closest game, but I guess the Vikings just kind of stayed true to their nature and just failed to deliver in the playoffs.
Yeah, Darnold
Once
he
again.
fell apart.
Everything fell apart. Like the offensive line fell apart. They let him get sacked like 6-7 times.
Yeah, it was
Darnold
six that I know. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And he was holding on to the ball quite a bit because I
Uh-huh.
listened to the game. I listened to Kurt Warner on. He had the game for the national feed, and he was just saying a lot of those. He just hold on to the ball. It's like I don't know. It's like he turned into the stuff that you saw when he was with the Jets. It was weird. He lost. They talked. He cost himself a lot of money the last two games.
Oh no, $50 million. See that later, buddy. You're probably gonna get 30 to 35 million for either the Giants or the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Yep.
Yeah.
I personally think the Sunday night game against the Lions really affected them. Like they were just dead. They just looked dead. Like when I was seeing their during the fourth quarter of that game, like they just looked dead. Like what was going on? Like
yeah. I guess I guess I'm not surprised about like the Rams, showing out because that's kind of just what I predicted. But yeah, what's up, Lawson?
No, it's Lawson, and we just skipped the Steelers talk. Darn.
Oh no, we'll get back.
Technical difficulties may have delayed me, but hey, don't be mad I'm late. Be happy I'm here.
Exactly. We are happy you're here.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, Lawson?
But yeah, what's up? But yeah, we're just talking about the Vikings Rams. Yeah, I was saying how last week like this was like kind of an easy setup for the Vikings to choke again, and I mean, yeah, they kind of found the formula how to beat this team, how to just overwhelm Darnold, with the heavy blitzes, and then counteract off of that.
Yeah, they basically copy and pasted Brian Flores' formula, and he had that Pikachu face. So he was like, ooh.
Yeah, like you would think like they would kind of know how to like handle that, and they've seen it like twice, but yeah, they didn't. Lawson, I guess, what were your thoughts from last night's game?
I'm sure you guys are already tapped in on it that Sam Darnold went full pumpkin mode. When you get pressure on these middle of the pack, when you get pressure on these middle tier quarterbacks, either they're going to rise or they're going to crumble, and Sam Darnold crumbled. I thought that he had a better chance than most, giving that the game was moved. It was almost a Minnesota Vikings home game, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect that the Rams to tie an NFL postseason record with 9 sacks. We saw early on that if LA can get pressure with just their front four, Minnesota's going to be in trouble because Minnesota has the talent, weapon-wise, all around the field. However, if you don't have time to get the ball and push the ball down the field to 100%. Those weapons, there's going to be problems.
And some of their offensive line got injured during the season. I know.
Absolutely.
Jaroshaw got injured, and that's why they traded for Cam Robinson. I'm like, why?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, it ultimately was just a Band-Aid, but yeah, their offensive line.
Band-Aid to a gunshot wound. We're gonna get those little kitty Band-Aids, and you're like this. You're gonna make it, pal. You're gonna make it.
Yeah, Sean, you're gonna say something.
No, I was just saying, like I said earlier, like he cost himself a lot of money.
Absolutely.
These last 2 games. I mean, they'll probably offer him a contract, but I don't think it'll be what it could have been, even if he. Well, I mean, let's face it. If he beat the Lions, they'd be sitting. Wouldn't even have played yet. Maybe had a home game and most likely probably won that.
Yeah.
So it's just, he cost himself a lot of money. So it'll be interesting to see. They've got Jones lurking there in the lurch too. I don't know what they're going to do with that. And then they got McCarthy if he'd be ready. So they've got some decisions to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, he definitely did lose some money. I still think he's gonna get a decent amount of money, just because, like, on the free agent market and, like, with the draft class not being great,
Oh, it's
like,
terrible.
there's just not a lot of options. Yeah, these teams have, that need quarterback. But yeah, I'm going back to Sunday night. That was probably the best game of the weekend.
Sure.
Man, I thought the Bucks had a solid chance.
They had chances. It's just that they just threw them away. They just fumbled, just like Baker and I think it was Bucky Irving did. And no, it was McMillan. It was McMillan. I think it was a jet sweep to McMillan.
Yeah,
and it kind of showed, and like it kind of showed you that like the Godwin injury really affected them because like McMillan had some really bad drops.
Yeah,
like it was bad.
Yeah,
you can sense these games too. You can sense right away which way they're going to go. Like you saw the way as the game as the first got into the second quarter that the Vikings were in trouble. You obviously saw the Steelers were in trouble. You could just sense it. You knew, the Broncos got off to a fast start, but then once the Bills got rolling, they couldn't stop it. So they kind of, and then once it got rolling for the Texans, it's just there was really one game that was competitive.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, like Brandon basically said this last week. There's just something with Jaden, like that team just knows how to keep in it. I mean, this is why if I were a Lions fan, I don't know, man.
I'll be a little worried. That's the thing. I'm worried about the Lions because they're solid in the fourth quarter. It's just that like their defense is still batter up. That's the thing.
They are getting Montgomery back though. He practiced in full today, so they will have him back. That's a big.
Yeah,
that's a big get for them.
In terms of like, lost in terms of like the on the Bucs side, they were a great story, but like basically, Baker being a top QB, but then also having leading the league in like turnovers as well. It kind of just cost them. But yeah,
I don't think Baker cost them. It's their defense mostly.
Well, even with their defense, they still were really in. They had both hands in the fire in this game. Like the defense did their job. They were good enough to win this game. You had the snap miscue that led to them being held to 3, and even with all of that, this defense, we saw the explosiveness, especially from the Elijah Chance and the defensive lineman. We saw them
missed that tackle.
Yeah, but once again, it's Jaden Daniels who's one of the more electric mobile quarterbacks when it comes to just mobility in the NFL. He's essentially, yes, it's his first year in the league, but you can't tell. You can't tell with the way he's looking, his poise in the pocket, his mobility. We saw him for the third time in his 18 starts play a game in which his offense didn't turn the ball over and didn't punt.
There's a lot to be said about that. Not turning the ball over is huge in the postseason.
Right, and he made me look like an idiot because I thought the Bucs had a really good chance to host Washington and win that game. However,
100%.
It was 100% the ability where when all else fails, he can just take off. It's almost as if it's a younger Lamar when it comes to that's the eraser. And you see,
I compare it to RG3, a more healthy RG3.
And another
Mhm.
thing, you can really tell how it's affecting Tampa Bay's defense, because when you look at the fourth and goal touchdown that they ended up scoring in the fourth quarter, Anto Winfield Jr. he's one of the best safeties in the NFL, and he was frozen because he was so scared of the play breaking down and Jaden just taking off to the pylon, so he was just froze that left Scary Terry running right behind him. To me,
Mhm.
that summed it up. And even with all that being said, Tampa still had chances to win that game. And like you said, it was the miscue end around, and then it was the kind of weird, funky, mistimed. I don't know if it was the snap count was messed up, or if the center snapped it when he shouldn't have, or if
Yeah,
all
it's
that
just
bum is.
like and they drafted him like, and he only played like 5 games at the center. Like even then, like that
Yeah,
kind of messed him up.
yeah. And another thing, 2 plays before, it looked like Bucky Irving really could have picked up the first down
Oh,
on that
100%.
counter, and then just cut back inside because he thought the defender was going to overrun it.
Mhm.
But at this point in the playoffs, it's survive and advance, and Washington
Mhm.
survived, and they're
Mhm.
going to Detroit.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I will give credit to, even though Lattimore kind of struggled against Mike
No,
Evans.
really.
Overall, their defense, their defense looks like a complete
Mhm.
unit. Like that type of that kind of was surprising from that game. Before we get into covering the previewing the divisional round, I was just gonna say, follow Total Apex Media on Twitter and YouTube. We do stuff on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and cover from sports, bets, fantasy, entertainment, gaming, and lifestyle. But yeah, basically, like and subscribe, and yeah, let's get into the divisional round preview. Um, in terms of we got the Texans at Chiefs, which I am hoping as a I guess a Chiefs hater that CJ Stroud can overcome his past issues and beat the Chiefs, but it's going to be a tall
Yep.
task either way.
They need some miracles. They need miracles. They need lucky charms. They need every single thing. Someone Lawson, you need to give them some of your some that steal of magic, even though it died last Saturday. I'm gonna they need Grimace. So they need Grimace to come to the game and be like, "Don't worry, we're gonna use some of my magic." But yeah, it's gonna be hard. I don't trust this Texas offense. I still don't trust them. I still think their offensive line is very shaky. I think the Chiefs' defense is their second name, even without legit, even with legit they trade away. It's still a solid unit. They're still a solid unit, and I think it could be an ugly game. And with the Chiefs barely win by
Yeah.
one, just to piss us all off.
They have to make the plays down the
Lawson,
stretch, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, Lawson. What were your thoughts on the Texans win? Because I know we were all in the Chargers last week, but
To me, everything was rolling in the Chargers' favor, and then if you're watching on Nickelodeon, the dirty bubble kidnapped Jim Harbaugh.
Dirty
No,
Bubble
but
down!
Yeah.
They took Jim Harbaugh and all of his towns.
realistically, they were up 6-0, and then Justin Herbert throws that horrible crossbody pick, and even then, the 3rd and 6, the bad snap, and CJ runs back 12 yards, picks up the loose ball, and then still hucks it downfield for 34 yards. Right when that happened, I said, okay, if Houston goes down and takes the lead right here before half, that snatched the whole energy is snatched the soul from the Chargers sideline. To me, that's where the game reared its ugly head, because you go from, all right, we're up 6, we're about to force a punt that is not an ideal field position, and then it makes me laugh when there's a bad snap and all the defenders, take 4 steps closer to the line of scrimmage, which leaves the long ball that CJ Stroud connected with. I think it was Nico Collins. I might have been mistaken, but neither here nor there. It's not going to fix that. Justin Herbert, who threw three total interceptions throughout the entirety of the year.
Mhm.
Now, I get it that 3 of them hit off the receiver's hands, but still, we've seen Justin Herbert in big moments and in the playoffs a couple years ago blow that, what was it, 27-point lead.
27-0. I remember
But
that game fully.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those where
It's the Chargers being the Chargers.
Yeah, and if this is the worst team that Harbaugh's going to have, be careful with the rest of the AFC, because what's going to happen when they get another receiver or get Herbert a legitimate tight end safety blanket, or an extra interior lineman, or I know we're saying or a lot like we're seals,
or
but
ifs.
yeah. However, this defense is only going to get better.
Mhm.
This defense is only going to get better. This Chargers team is not going anywhere anytime
But Clear
soon.
Mag is complimenting retirement, so
Right. But
I actually
yeah,
I actually think the Chargers, shockingly, they're missing a. I know Dobbins had a great year. They could re-sign him. Yeah, I don't know where the run game went. I mean, it just got blanketed, but you still have to, even if it's not working, like you still have to establish it, especially when like all those picks came flying in. Like I don't know. There were better ways to handle.
If that team can't run, that's in their run base. So with Roman, and that's just, and then you get behind and just they want to run the ball, and they just weren't able to do what they what their game plan is. That's a heavy run based team. They want to pound it, whatever, play action it, and then but like you guys said, their losses said they need a tight end. Disley was coming along, then he got hurt.
Yep.
And then I just think that they just 3 picks. You can't. First of all, you can't, like, it's all about turnovers in the postseason. He had 3 picks the entire year. He had 4 in a game. That cooked him.
Yeah.
It got out of it. Just gets away from you.
Going back to the Vikings.
Yeah, don't worry,
been,
Brett. They're gonna
hurting
win another
since last
playoff
night.
game in 10 years when the world's still burning.
Well, real quick, Lawson, what do you think about Sam, like the effect on that loss on Sam Darnold and his market? I mean, I still think he's going to be the top free agent quarterback just by default.
It's tough because when you look at the quarterback, when you look at the totality of the quarterback market, whether it be draft, free agents, all things considered, Sam Darnold's still going to have a market because you're still going to have 2 or 3 teams in the draft that just miss out on a quarterback due to they're not drafting above 8. And that's where your 2 or 3 quarterbacks, depending upon which one you like, that's where they're going to go. Would you still? I'm going to answer your question with a question. Would you guys give him $150 million?
No.
They can franchise him, though. They can franchise him.
The franchise number is around $42 million.
Yeah.
So, and another thing, I've seen reports that they're not going to shop JJ McCarthy. So they're kind of in purgatory where you have a lot of teams like your they them bottoming out last year and drafting JJ. That should have been your saving grace. However, he tears up his knee, and then Sam has a MVP season from a statistical standpoint. They're really in no man's land due to, if you're Kevin O'Connell, like, this is the third straight playoff game in which you've gotten outcoached. 2 years ago, number 2 seed, 13 wins, win your division. You're hosting New York on the road.
They're the 3rd seed. They won like 11-0 in literally 1-score games. They couldn't live up that philosophy. They were playing well. It's just that their defense was so bad. It was bad. When you made Daniel Jones look like a $40 million quarterback, and guess what? He got the $40 million, and that worked out well. But yeah,
It,
it was,
And keep
it was
this-
terrible. The next year, your quarterback room was destroyed. It was wrecked. Kurt was having a great year, but
right.
injuries happened. Josh Dobbs had like some good runs, but he fell out. They were depending on Nick Mullins and some random QB they drafted, like some Jared Hall, and it was just a disappointing year. And this season were literally one of your best seasons. Defense was playing well, everything was going well. They literally had like diarrhea in like the last two games. Like the last
keep
season,
in
last
mind
game of the
too.
season. Sorry about that.
Keep in mind too, though, they signed to the active roster last week. They signed Daniel Jones, so he couldn't be picked up by anybody.
Mm.
So I'm telling you, they have good coaching there. I mean, you saw it with Darnold.
Oh,
There's
the
good coaching there. I'm not
Mm.
saying that he's the quarterback next year, but I wouldn't dismiss him because Darnold got in front of good coaching and he had a very successful year. Coaching
Mhm.
matters.
100%.
Jones, it could be Jones, and it could be him and McCarthy, and they might let Darnold walk because the franchise tag
100%.
is an option, but it's going to be a big hit for 1 year. He probably would sign. I mean, Kirk Cousins made a living on 3 franchise tags, I think,
Mhm.
before he signed his big contract. But
100%.
Right.
coaching matters. You could, and of course, the coach is going to say this, but he's saying that that Jones has looked good when he's had him. So we'll see. I'm not ready to write him off because he got out of the Giants.
If he has a Sam Darnold-like season, I'm crashing. I'm cursing everyone out. I'm gonna smash something because I'll say things, but sadly I'll be censored by our boss.
Yeah, and no one can pick him up too, Greg. And they would have lost him to a potential playoff team too.
100%.
Yeah.
If they didn't sign him to the active roster, that was another big reason. They didn't want to lose him.
Mm.
Yeah, like what Greg said. He thinks the Vikings are going to franchise him.
It's possible.
I mean, even if they franchise him, they could just trade. They could trade him, during the season.
They'll probably trade him to a sucker.
The only problem with that is assuming you franchise tag him, what team's gonna want to trade any high draft any draft pick of value for a 1 year $41 million slightly above average quarterback, depending upon where you value him.
He played well enough, though. I'm with you, Lawson. Though. Someone's going to pick him up. I'm with you.
100%.
If it's not them, then someone's going to. I mean, the Steelers could sign him. I don't think they will, but because they don't want to spend any money. But they could. I mean, he could play. He could go there.
It's just that we really saw him, explode this year. Considering where was he last year? Oh, he was Brock Purdy's backup in San Fran in the Shanahan offense. So maybe that just unlocked something mentally, gave him a new sign of confidence or something along those lines.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be mad if just like you brought up, can Pittsburgh get him? Oh, I would enjoy that. But the only thing is, not at $40 million.
No,
exactly.
I don't. And
$20 million.
He's not going to get there. $40 million. That's a huge. That's a huge. You got to remember that's a 1 year hit too. The $40 million.
Exactly.
That and the court and Arthur Smith's your coordinator. So have fun.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, our boss Dustin, he thinks the Vikings should let him walk. Like that definitely is a possibility. But in terms of boss. They would probably just keep McCarthy because there really isn't really a incentive to give him away. But with the Daniel Jones thing, I'm pretty sure he's on the 1 year, and if he signs somewhere else, then they get a contract for him.
Yeah, they do. That's what Greg was saying too.
Hooray! Happy.
Yeah. Going back to the we got the Commanders at Lions. We were saying how the Lions were. I don't know. Maybe we'll see how they do if they can, go back and forth with the elite offense like the Lions. But yeah, that's going to be
100%.
a fun game. Yeah, Lawson, how confident are you that the Lion can take care of business?
I think that this game plays out just like how Buffalo and Denver was. I could see Washington jumping out
Okay.
to a 7-0, a 6-0 lead early due to it's the rest versus rust thing. We've seen so many teams come out rusty when they've had extended periods of time off the field.
Yes.
And I expect Detroit to come out, maybe a little rusty for a drive or two, but they will flex about midway through the second quarter, and then they'll run away with it. Just how Buffalo, for about 2.5 quarters, it was a nip and tuck game with Denver, and then they're like, oh, we have arguably the MVP. And for Detroit, we have arguably the best offense in the NFL. And Washington's defense, they are slightly above average when you look at the numbers. They had a really nice season. Dan Quinn's done an excellent job considering they don't have any crazy household names on this defense. They have 2 really good D tackles. Jeremy Chin's a Swiss Army knife. Bobby Wagner, for where he is in his career, is still very good. This just the over under points wise is 55.5. That is a lot of points. Only problem is, I do not see Jaden Daniels unless he continues his excellent play, and he could prove me wrong. However, this Detroit team is going to score in the high 30s. So, can Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders keep up with that? I don't know.
History tells us one of these 1 seeds could lose. History tells
100%.
us, but right now they've got them. They're already at 9. The line opened at 7.5, and now it's already at 9.5. So the books don't expect this one to be close. I think the Texans are going to play the Chiefs close. I really do. The Chiefs have been living on the edge all year, and the Chiefs are only 7-9-1 against the spread on the year. So I mean, I'm not saying I don't expect them to lose, but I think that game's going to be tight.
I think
I can see it. If they can run the ball with Mixon a little bit.
Commies and Lions. Well, if the Lions defense play like they did against Minnesota, it's gonna be that over is gonna hit, and Lawson's gonna write about it, and he's gonna be like, yeah.
The only thing though is if Detroit blitzes Jaden Daniels 60% of the time like they did Sam Darnold in Week 18. Jaden Daniels is going to hit his head on the goalpost with a lot of these runs because he is so electric when his first two reads are gone and he tucks it. We saw him in college take crazy hits, and I've seen the growth in the even when I'm getting wrapped up, I can still avoid your second or third hit to keep possession of the ball. But he is so electric, and I expect his legs to it. If Washington is going to end up stealing this game, I think it's going to be behind Jaden Daniels' legs more than his arm. Because when you look at his receiving core, it's Scary Terry and who else? Now, granted,
Damani Brown has been stepping up.
Yeah,
he had a
fantastic
game. He had a fantastic game last week, and Zacchaeus has had a really strong season, and Zach Ertz has been, what Zach Ertz is. But I think it's going to come down to Jaden Daniels' legs. Like, he's going to need a Lamar Week 1 against Kansas City type effort to keep this game within striking distance.
He's got to be the X factor.
100%.
When the play breaks down, he's got to, scramble for that 3rd and long first down. 100%. That's the path and he's got to continue, like you had said, Lawson. He's got to continue with the no turnovers. That's the key to winning on the road, especially.
And him being a rookie, it's going to be we have not seen any rookie play as clean as he has, especially for his first playoff game. It's exceptional. And another key component to this game, and then I'm sure we'll move on. If it's 4th and 5 or shorter on the opposing side of the field, both these teams are going to go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Both of these teams are going to go for it, and I think that it could be who gets stopped on 2 of the 5 4th downs. I really think that it could come down to it. Now, one last thing. I know I say one last quick thing real quick. In the last 2 minutes, you cannot win a game in the last 2 minutes, but you damn sure can lose it. So, whoever has the ball last in the first half, it's going to be interesting to see how much they go to press. Because just something that I think about all the time. It's like you cannot win the game at the end of the first half, but you can lose it with a costly turnover or a punt that leads to 3 on the other side. Then they double dip coming out of halftime. There's so many outcomes of this game that I see Washington coming up just short against a elite Detroit Lions team.
Andrew, I have to. I just want before you guys get to the Sunday games. I just gotta sign off because I gotta get to my next stop here.
No problem.
Coach. Hope we talk
Okay,
again.
guys. Yeah, we got a road game tonight, so I got to get moving here. So,
all
right. Thank you for having me on, guys. I'll see you soon. All right, take care.
All right, take care.
Yeah,
bye.
No problem. But yeah, let's go to
let's talk about the Ravens and Bills first. We haven't talked.
Yeah, I will. I'll give Lawson a little bit to talk on the Steelers Ravens game first, and then,
let's.
It won't take too much. It won't take too much. The first play of the game, when I saw Pat drop that pass in the flat, I'm like, well, it's gonna be a really, really long game, and just off of your guys' second touchdown drive. I know this isn't really ethical to do on the show, but I'm going to read the play-by-play for y'all's second touchdown drive. You guys interrupt me when you guys hear a pass play. You ready? 1-yard rush, 8-yard rush, 3-yard rush, 8-yard rush, 1-yard rush, 3-yard rush, 2-yard rush, false start to make it 2nd and 13, 20-yard rush, 2-yard rush, 9-yard rush, 3-yard rush, 17-yard rush, 8-yard rushing touchdown. Like, that immediately it drove me nuts. You're telling me we're going to get toted on for 3 bills? That the first drive, when Lamar was running 6 consecutive option plays, and he kept it every single time, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a play in which the whole team's going to shift to his side. And we saw that right after the Steelers cut it to a 14-point deficit. What happened? Oh, Lamar hands it off to Derrick Henry. The whole defense shifts and just leaves the A gap wide open. 44-yard touchdown, and that was your ball game essentially.
Even then, the play before that.
Yeah.
Sack, slant pass.
Yeah.
Jet sweep.
Like, we cut it to 14. Fantastic. The next drive, I'm like, okay, maybe we can get a stop and get the ball back and score maybe before the fourth quarter, and, maybe Lamar gets tight. 10-yard sack, 2nd and 20. They pick up 21, 17-yard end around, 44-yard rushing touchdown. Game is essentially over. Now, I'm not ready for a lot of Steeler fans like, oh, Mike Tomlin sucks. Blow it all up. Do this, do that. I'm not in there yet, and a lot of Steeler fans, we're spoiled to the simple fact you guys aren't ready to be a poverty franchise. You guys are not ready from the Carson Palmer to the Kyler Murray, that dead era in Arizona. You guys aren't ready for that. I know in theory we're in purgatory due to we're not good enough to contend for a Super Bowl, but we're not bad enough to get a top 10 pick. So it's like there's not a lot of things to do unless you're in football purgatory, and unless you're gonna blow it up and clean house, which I'm not ready to do yet, because you can do a lot worse than Mike Tomlin. You can do a lot worse.
Even then, not R2 doesn't show that, like, if from like an outside perspective, like, it doesn't feel like there's going to be a change.
And there's not going to be, and I don't like it. It's one of those. I have seen Mike Tomlin be an above average coach for years. And we are a spoiled fan base when it comes to Mike. We're taking Mike Tomlin for granted because, do you guys want to be, I don't know, the Jags, where they're turning over head coaches once every 3 years? What about the Jets? The Jets head coaching position's been a mess. Or like Vegas, where they just randomly stick with an interim head coach. Like there's so many different avenues in which this could go bad. We need to just appreciate that, hey, we have a top 10 NFL head coach, whether you like it or not. The roster's good, and if you make the playoffs, anything can happen in the dance. Once you get in, Once you get into the dance, football is just that random enough that anything can happen. Any team can get hot, and don't tell me that good defenses can't carry you in the playoffs because they've been doing it for years.
Great point, but also like if you're into the dance, like there's anything can happen, and then there's what the Steelers have been doing for that past like 5-6 years, collapsing late in the season, and
they just come out flat in the playoffs. Yeah,
yep.
I was like,
and even then, like it was the defense that let you down during that game.
We've seen 6 straight playoff games in which at one point we're down double digits before halftime. Like the one playoff game over the past 6 in which we have scored first, we're taking lead early. It was in Kansas City, the TJ Watt strip sack, and what happened? Kansas City ripped off 35 straight. So it's like we're starting these games down 21-0, 28-7, 35, 14. We have not gotten off to good starts in any of these playoff games. Now, once again, it's head coaching and XYZ and all kinds of other stuff. I am not ready to do what a lot of Steelers fans are doing and just blow it up. I'm simply not, due to, yes, sometimes grass is greener on the other side, but once again, we've seen a lot of really good teams fire their coaches just to try and switch it up, and it took them a long time. Look at the Eagles. The Eagles got rid of Andy Reid, and then they were a middle of the pack to slightly above average team for the next 12 years.
Yep.
And then they get Dougie P, and everything just kind of fell into place.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the best avenue for the Steelers would probably be to try to retain.
Yeah,
Fields.
100%. I'm right there with you.
Right. It's kind of like the Bengals, how they always start off the season slow. It's just like, with the Vikings.
We end the year slow.
These teams
Cincinnati starts the year slow. That's almost the only difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just they just gotta come out with their A game. The next time they make it. But for the Ravens-Bills Sunday night game, I don't think it will be a blowout.
No, it won't be a blowout.
How the Ravens did. Yeah, no. The Bills defense has gotten healthier, and same with their offense for a bit. I still think that the Bills' run defense. I don't know how they're gonna, shut down.
You can't.
Derrick Henry, if I'm being honest. As long as Todd Monken and
if they mostly throw the ball, God, we're gonna hear from you, Andrew. Like we need to live stream that.
That's what I'm used to, though. That's what happened. The last 2 years. I guess the thing is with the weather probably going to be a big factor in this game. They probably won't do that. I don't think Flowers is going to play in this game, if I'm being honest. I just don't think that, they want to risk a potential long-term injury, because that knee injury he took look pretty serious. So, if you don't need him, then don't try him out there. But, Lawson, I guess what were your takes for, Buffalo just kind of destroying Denver? That's kind of what you were predicting.
It was when Bo Nix hit Troy Franklin, that 40-yard touchdown. It's like, oh shit, Denver's defense is just good enough to keep it interesting, and then the Bills flexed, and then Denver, they pulled out the fake punt. I'm like, okay, well, what else is going to be in your bag of tricks? Because eventually Buffalo, they are the Mike Tyson of the NFL. They will pummel and smother and destroy inferior opponents. Now, to dabble into the late night game on Sunday, this game, if Zay Flowers does not play, you can get away with beating Pittsburgh without Zay Flowers. I do not believe they can get away without beating Buffalo without Zay Flowers. It's not that he lit them up the first time that they played, because he didn't. It was the Derrick Henry show, as it was against many opponents this year. I found out personally twice over the past month. It's one of those, just the fact that you have Zay Flowers on the field, that we can't put 8 in the box. We can't put in that extra defender in the box. I I think the Bills team is better than what than the first time you guys played. I think that Josh Allen is a
Yeah.
better quarterback at this point in the season. He's been an all-time legendary playoff performer up to this point in his career. I just think that this game is going to be awesome. There's no other word to describe this game except for, awesome. You have 3 of the 4 potential MVP offensive player of the years playing in this game. You have a defense in Baltimore that since their bye week that have almost been number 1 in every single statistical category in the NFL. You have a Buffalo defense that it's a Sean McDermott coach defense, so they're always going to be above average. And then you have can Von Miller tap into Denver Von for 2 or 3 plays, and maybe that's the deciding factor, because I don't see Lamar forcing any balls, that hasn't been his MO all year long. If I remember correctly, 3 of his 4 picks that he threw in the regular season hit just right off guys' hands. So
yeah, it was like either a miscommunication or the guy dropped
absolutely. And I don't see Lamar turning into the last week proved a lot to me, because it was the first time that from kickoff to the end of the game, Lamar in a postseason game looked like regular season Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
And we've seen in the past against Steelers and in the playoffs that's like, okay, there's a stigma, there's a stench around the aura of the game. And like I just said, Lamar last week, he was sensational from start to finish, just like he has been in the regular season. I expect it to be a fantastic game. If it comes down to a distance kicker, we know both teams have really good kickers, especially from distance. Regardless of what the numbers have said for Justin Tucker over the past 3 years,
he's been better.
He's been better since the game in Pittsburgh, in which he missed 3 total kicks, 2 field goals and an extra point, I think.
Yeah. That's great.
But this is literally whoever wins this game, you're going to be so battle tested going into Arrowhead, assuming the Chiefs handle business. You're going to be so battle tested that there's nothing that Kansas City can throw at either of those 2 teams that could strike fear in either of them.
Right. It's going to be this game's going to result in disappointment for either team, because, it just sucks they both have to play each other, and the Chiefs just because like on multiple games this year, like we've just seen them just outperform the barely average to slightly above average just Chiefs team in general. But yeah, we haven't really talked about them for this preview / recap from the Wildcard, but I know the Rams are coming off of
hot win. They're going to be hot. Like I think the Rams are going to give Philly trouble. Like I don't think they're gonna do enough to win, but like Rams are going to make it a little closer, because like Philly is mostly you gotta get the rock to Saquon. You have to give the rock to him, like, because like Hurts was fine. Is he like there's just I think they're mostly fearing of his concussions, but for the Rams to win this game, you gotta stop Saquon, and you just gotta pray to you gotta let Jalen get some bad throws to AJ Brown, and let Nick Sirianni ruin the team, because if those 3 happen, Rams win. Their offense is good enough.
True. I will say,
and their defense can hold them.
I will say that I feel like the game being in Philly is like a huge
100%.
advantage, because if it was not there, then maybe I would give the Rams a little bit more of a chance, just because their defense has been really good. But it's going to be a lot of Saquon in the run game for the Eagles, so I think they're going to take care of business. But also in terms of the the Eagles defense, like I'm not that surprised that it was more of the Packers not taking advantage, but we've seen they lost the Eagles earlier this year. Like it probably will be kind of tough for them to move the
Yeah.
ball. Just because it's so featuring Kyron Williams and Puka, but Cooper Kupp has kind of not been. I mean, he had one good catch last night, but he's just not the same guy.
I feel like a lot of the slander for Cooper Kupp, it's not the fact that I don't think he's the same guy anymore. It's the fact that Matt Stafford and Sean McVay, they have this new shiny weapon called Puka Nacua. So as opposed to Cooper Kupp getting his 7 to 8 targets per game that he used to when he was winning the Triple Crown and averaging almost 12 targets a game, to put it into perspective just for this game, Philly's defense is excellent. They're not just good; they're really good. And the loss of Nakobe Dean it hurts so much because not just the power in which he rushes the passer with, his get off is almost second to none. He's an explosive player. He's a borderline game breaking defensive player that is in his second or third season. Do I expect this game to be closer than the 17-point blowout that happened in LA? Absolutely, this game's going to be closer. You know why? Because Saquon's not going to go for 300 yards from scrimmage again. And I think that if there is a recipe to stop or beat this Philly team, it's can you be efficient on third down, and can you force Jalen Hurts to beat you through the air? Now, it's funny coming from a Steelers fan because when we stacked the box against Saquon, when we played him in Philly, he lit us up for 290 and 3 touchdowns. However, if there is a weak link to the team, you don't really hear the quarterback position or the player get brought up enough as to, okay, they're passengers and not bus drivers. Jalen Hurts, for as good as he is, and he's a really, really good quarterback. He hasn't had a fantastic statistical season. Now, I understand it's, do you want to have good stats or do you want to win?
Yeah.
And they were winning a lot of games this year. However, if you stack the box against Saquon, and Saquon will still probably do Saquon things 7 out of the 10 times they stack the box. They still have 2 number 1 weapons on the outside in Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. So I think that's going to be your matchup. Can these 2 receivers and AJ Brown dominate it in LA? I just don't know if the Rams can duplicate what they did last week or what they've done over the past month and a half.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we'll have another show to preview the game a little bit more. And actually Thursday, I was thinking about talking about some fantasy football redraft stuff for next year. But yeah, stay tuned for that. But yeah, as we close out, Jordan, where can we find your work?
You can find my rant at Total Apex for Total Apex Fantasy, all that good stuff. You can also find me at our show, but also at Kim. You can also find my social media on Sit898 at Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. You can also find me on your TikTok at JC179 before the eventual ban. But don't worry, we're not. It's not really banned, but like the government are gonna try to ban it. They're gonna try to extend it for us. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But I can't wait for this weekend. It's gonna be great. Like we might either see our gracious host Andrew Kim either be very happy or some holes in the wall after seeing him.
Yeah, we'll see on that.
Having Lamar Jackson throw more than 30 passes. Let's go.
Oh, real quick, I gotta get some more Deontay Johnson hate in here because
get more than John Mechie, baby. Let's go. He got cut.
But
you ain't seen him win that Super Bowl unless the Chiefs pick him up. Let's go.
The when I saw that he was waived, I'm like, oh, what happened? And then it comes out that he was mad after a win because he wasn't on the field. Like, come on, Deontay. Like, what? Like, you go from one of the best route runners in the NFL to a really solid receiver in Pittsburgh, and then you complain, and then go to Carolina, and then you go to Baltimore, and then you end up in Houston, and you're just mad about not being a number 1 guy. Well, Sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definition of a camp.
Lawson, what have you been working on? And end the show on a positive.
All right,
note.
on a positive note, for the regular season, on Total Apex Bets, we ended the year with a record of 66, 39, and 2. On articles posted on Total Apex Bets, that is a 62.62 winning percentage. The playoffs started out shaky. I'll be the first one to say, you know, I was not seeing the slate. I was not seeing the slate well in the first round. However, we're looking to bounce back with a big 4-0 weekend in the divisional round. The last two articles should be up later this evening, and then we will look forward to divisional football once again. You can check me out on Twitter at Lawson_1226, and if you like free money, go check out Total Apex Bets. We're not just goobers that we're gonna Baltimore. We're not just gonna hammer heavy favorites. You know, we're gonna give you in-depth analysis on in between both teams and who I think will win the game and if they will cover the spread or not.
Yeah, well, that's going to do it. We're going to have a show on Thursday, so stay tuned for that and more from Total Apex Sports, Bets Fantasy. And, you know, we got some gaming content and entertainment content coming your way